Okay, hello to anybody who may be joining us for Bridget's first Instagram Live. We're just getting set up, getting our guest joined into the room. Okay. All right, we've got Hui Ting here. Let's see. Hey, Hui Ting!
Hello.
Lovely to see
Hi, Sam. How are
you.
you?
I'm doing well.
Likewise.
How are you doing today?
I'm good. Happy Friday.
Yes, happy Friday. And thank you for taking the time to do this discussion with us about internal family systems.
Also, yeah, this is also my first live, so
It's Bridget's first live too. We're excited. I see
wonderful.
some people are here. Maybe more people are going to come on and join in the future as we're discussing. And people may stumble upon this video in the future. It's going to be saved to the Bridges Instagram feed. There's a chance since you're participating, it may save to yours too. I'm not exactly sure how that works, but we'll tag you in all the
Yeah,
videos moving forward.
we'll figure it out as we go. I'm trying to see just getting myself
Yeah,
familiarized with
yeah.
the screen.
Take your time, get oriented.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
All right. Well, so we're hosting this live today. I'm Sam, by the way. For anybody who's watching this, I'm one of the founders of Bridges Mental Health, and May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and it's also Asian American, Pacific Islander, and Native Hawaiian Heritage Month. So we thought that it would just be kind of the perfect opportunity to highlight all of our amazing members and clinicians, highlight the work that they're doing, the topics they want to talk about. So we're going to be hosting a series of lives this month. This is the very first one. Hui Ting has agreed to be our guinea pig, our very first guest for this discussion. And we're going to have a conversation and a discussion today about internal family systems. Go ahead and
Yeah.
introduce yourself, Hui Ting.
Yeah, I'm so happy to be here. A lot of excitement and also maybe some nervousness. Like this, am I doing this right? Like I was like, why is my face so big? And you're like, it just got zoomed in all of a sudden. Anyway, my name is Hui Ting. I am a licensed mental health counselor based in New York. I'm also licensed in Florida for telehealth. I work primarily with the Asian population who are struggling with work stress, relationship stress, and also like intergenerational trauma, which we'll talk more about later on with like IFS and how that kind of work together, healing those intergenerational related stuff. I work a lot with clients who are navigating differences in cultural beliefs and values, how to navigate those conversations with their family members. So that's what I do mostly, my work.
Okay, amazing. And I'm really excited today for our discussion because we're going to be talking about some aspects of internal family systems just generally. You're going to orient us to the modality and kind of share a little bit about what it's about. But I'm also excited to talk about kind of like what you said, the ways in which it might intersect or maybe unique when working with the Asian population and a peace population with this particular modality of therapy. So thanks for sharing
Mhm.
your time with us
Of
today.
course, happy to be
So
here.
we take why don't you, for folks who don't know what internal family systems therapy is, what it is, why don't you give a little background and kind of orient anybody who's watching, give a brief synopsis for maybe someone who hasn't heard of it before?
Yeah, so internal family systems, or IFS, it talks about how we all have like a family system inside of us. So you can think of our internal world making up by parts. We have a lot of parts. I'm sure everyone can relate to this. A part of me wants to go work out. A part of me just want to stay home, lay on the couch, right? A part of me wants so badly to set boundaries at work. A part of me feels bad setting boundaries. Like I can never say no. If I say no, my friend's gonna get upset. Oh, but I've been saying yes all the time. It's like it's time to focus on myself. So it's based on the idea that we all have parts, and sometimes parts work so hard to protect us. They're so good at what they're doing. It may once work, but sometimes it right and now it may not work anymore, or feeling like we're always being in like a reactive mode. Um, not having a choice, but just reacting. So IFS, we work to understand all these parts within us so that we can develop a relationship with all our parts. We get to know what these parts are doing for us so that we can help it. We can help heal the vulnerable parts, the part that got hurt before. If we can heal it, then these parts don't have to work so hard anymore.
Mm.
And now we have a choice in how we want to respond rather than feeling like we have to react all the time.
Oh, well, so I think that's such a great, I'll share, I've read No Bad Parts, but I haven't done any formal IFS training beyond just like a couple seminars and stuff. But I really like, Weiting, the way that you framed this idea of kind of conflicting parts and the ways in which, that can lead to problems or places that we feel stuck. Like, I think that example you gave is such a good one of like, I want to go work out, but there's another part of me that's saying, I just want to lay on the couch and not do anything. That I think is really relatable. And it sounds like, at least in the IFS model, this idea of it's not maybe necessarily that we're trying to like eliminate these parts, but we're trying to help understand them. Am I getting that right?
Yeah, absolutely. What really drew me to this model is the fact that it's non-judgmental, that there are no bad parts. Even those we think are bad, they're doing something for us.
Mm,
Like the one that wants to stay on the couch just to relax, watch Netflix, right? Binge eat. They're trying to do something for us. So when we get to know them better and understand the intention behind those parts, we can help it so that it doesn't have to do that. Like if the goal is to distract, if the goal is to relax, right? Instead of just watching TV 10 hours straight, we can find other ways to help it so that
mm,
maybe we don't get burned out in the first place, or, there are other ways to help us relax rather than having all these parts trying to work so hard to get to that same goal. Um, and so, yeah, the non-judgmental lens and it's really non-pathologizing, right? We don't get labeled something just because we have certain behaviors, just because we do things a certain way. So you're absolutely right. The goal is not to get rid of the parts, it's just to help it so it doesn't have to be in that doing that extreme
mm,
role.
hmm. And I really liked the point you made earlier too, Eating, about you said that because I think with my work with clients, I feel this way sometimes in my own life that just automatic response, like a response to something upsetting. And it feels like I was out of control or I didn't even have a chance to think. It's just, I just responded in this way, which it sounds like you identify as maybe like a part coming to the
Hmm.
surface. And
Hmm.
it sounds like through this work, the hope is to get it so that you understand maybe why the part is responding in this way. And then it sounds like empowering it to then choose how you want to respond versus just react. I think
Yes.
that's the language you used. Am I
Yes.
getting that right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And it's really every time I do this work, I get fascinated by it. It's not just internal because once you do the internal work, your external world change.
Mm,
So for example, someone may make a comment and you get triggered by it. Your reaction is like, oh, this person just stepped on my toes. I need to protect myself. They are misunderstanding me. Now I need to say something back to protect myself. So I might say something really nasty, really mean. And then that person's reaction to our response is to
mm,
escalate. So with IFS, we learned that, oh, why am I getting angry right now? You just ask that question, and then your part will tell you they're disrespecting you. Come on, they're disrespecting you. You need to say something. They cannot just step all over you. So then when you get to know that, it's like, oh, I see what you're trying to do. So, like, by me yelling, by me raising my voice or saying something nasty, I'm trying to get the person to back off.
mm,
That's the intention of this part. Just want that person to back off and start respecting me. But when I hear that, I was like, oh, I see. Okay. And then I see what this part is trying to do. I can say, oh, I see what you're trying to do. And then I can respond like, hey, what you just said doesn't really sit well with me. Like, I don't appreciate that tone. Like, or say something, I think you misunderstood, right? I'm not trying to, whatever. And then the person's response, I'm sure it will be very different. Uh,
mm.
versus like if you say something nasty, but I'm sure I can guarantee you the other person will have a very different response, not the one that you would hope for. Maybe you want an apology, maybe you want someone to start respecting you more, but when you come off in that way, trying to preserve yourself, they're not going to respond the way that you want them to. So that's what I mean by when you do the internal work, your outside will change. I find myself so many times just checking in, and then I can choose how I want to respond now. And then the reaction from the other person is probably more like adaptive, something that
Mm.
I would have appreciated more, just because I have that space within myself to choose how I want to respond.
Yeah, and it sounds like in that process you described, you're almost, and when you say like talking with the part, which you kind of demonstrated how you would share that, is that you talking with your part? Is that kind of the therapist engaging with the client's part? What does that look like?
Yeah, so I've been doing this for a while, so I do this internally all the
Ah,
time. But with someone who is not familiar with this kind of work, working with a therapist can be very helpful because um, sometimes we are the word we use is blended. We're so blended with a part that we don't see it as a part. Is that what do you mean it's a part? It's me. It's me, right? Like when, for example, when I'm angry, and if I'm blended with the angry part, I'm going to show up as like an angry
mm,
person, right?
mm.
Like, and when you ask, like, where's Hui Ting? Like, what do you mean, where's Hui Ting? Like, this is the. So, working with a therapist can help because a therapist can just say, hey, I notice um, there's a part of you that feels really upset right now. Can we ask this part to give us some space, or can we get to know this part a bit more?
Ah,
So,
okay.
someone can facilitate that conversation because sometimes parts are not ready to step back. Like, what do you mean asking me to step back? Like, you're trying to get rid of me? Like, parts can feel offended or scared when we try to get to know them because they believe that we're trying to get rid of them. So, I can share another example
Hmm.
that I see quite often when someone comes to you and say, I want to um, yeah, I don't know why I'm always so uptight or like I like to control things all the time, right? I get upset when things get out of my control, when people don't do things my way. They're so useless. It's better if I do it myself, right? And I want to not be able to do that anymore, or something
Mm.
like that. And then when I say to this client, like, okay, I see there's a part of you that really wants to gain control. Can we can we spend some time noticing that? And then you might hear something like, no, because this part is really great. This part helps me do a
Mm.
good job. This is the reason why I'm so good at my job. Some parts may have a reaction
Hmm.
towards that if you get to know it, it might either make it stronger or it believes that you want to get rid of it. So even in our system, we have like using family members. There might be family members that don't want you to rock the boat. Things are good right now. Don't change anything because they're afraid of what might happen.
Hmm.
So so yeah, I don't even know how I got here, but I think we're talking about if you could do this work yourself,
Yes.
right? So that's when it's good to have someone guide you through this because oftentimes we could be so blended by parts we don't notice them, and we cannot have a develop that relationship because there are other parts interfering. So like we may have allies in our system. Oh yeah, I like this part that loves to control because we get things done fast our way. And then there might be other parts, like another team is like, because you're so controlling, that's why you're always so
Mm.
upset and like get so frustrated all the time. So we have parts like family members that may team up against the other. So parts where it's nice to have someone facilitate the process because we have blind spots. We can't always, notice or catch all of them that are in
Yeah.
the room.
And it sounds like maybe with enough time and work, you're able to get to a point. And I imagine through the
Yeah.
therapy process, it sounds like you help clients identify their parts, understand how they're interacting with one another, where are they experiencing conflict, and then maybe you reach the point, like it sounds like you're at Hui Ting because you've done a lot of work with this yourself, where you're able to engage in it independently. Does that feel like I'm getting that right?
Yeah, and even so, like I'm always surprised, like, oh, I have this part. Oh, who is this
Hmm.
now? Like they're always, it's always new. Like every time I do this work, I'm uncovering something new. And just working with a therapist too is so important because as you are talking about all these things, all these stories, you're not tracking your parts. A therapist can track them for you,
Hmm.
even if you don't get to know a part. But the therapist is remembering that. And then the next time you come to your therapist with similar issues, the therapist already knows who's talking, like who, as in like
Ah.
which part is talking because they have been tracking. So I track my clients' part, even if we never talk about them, I never bring them up. But when the opportunity arises, I can say, oh, I remember this one. This one came in before. Like I remember when you tell me this, this sounds similar. So working with someone can be helpful in the sense that they are also tracking your parts
Hmm.
for you and noticing those parts and bring them to your awareness.
Wow, that's really interesting. And it sounds like there's ways to even do this IFS work. How do I say this in a way that makes sense? Like you, the therapist, are tracking and noting some of these
Mm-hmm.
things and maybe identifying them as a part when the client may not necessarily be relating it that way. Maybe they're just seeing it as that was my reaction or that's me.
Mm-hmm. So sometimes people don't people who are not familiar with this work doesn't really understand how it goes or can get confused, not really understanding like what do you mean talk to my parts? Or like sounds a little woo-woo, right? All
Hmm.
these things. So we can still do parts work without using like parts language,
Oh,
right? So
interesting.
so they don't know that, but I'm keeping track for them and just reflecting them back. But I know that it's a part, not necessarily telling them that it's a part of them or whatever, because they may not resonate with that kind of language or
Sure.
is confusing to them. So in my personal work, I have like a map, parts mapping. I just write down all the parts that I hear. So it's like with every client, there's a little map, then we
Oh,
go. And it's like, oh, I remember this one, or I remember that one. Oh, this is something new. Oh, we can get to this next time. So yeah, so that's a good thing about working with someone too, because someone can hold that space for you when you're not ready to go there just
that's
yet.
really interesting. And it's funny because with all my clients, one of our first things that I do with them in intake is I'll do a family genogram. So I'll make like a
Oh,
map. And I love that idea of you're creating it within the client's parts themselves, like that
it's
same
their
kind of
internal
diagram.
system. Yeah,
Yeah, very
yeah,
cool.
exactly. Yeah.
So one thing I'm curious about, Wee because I know you work a lot with API identified folks. That's an identity you hold yourself. And I'm curious to see or to discuss a little bit about how parts work maybe shows up differently in that population. Maybe there are like certain kinds of parts you see that tend to emerge within AAPI folks who are doing this work. I wonder what you think about that.
Yeah. So a few ones are pretty common in this demographic. Is the idea of filial piety. I need to
Hmm.
be a good daughter. I need to be a good son. What does being a good sister look like? What does being the eldest in the family looks like? So we carry like a certain cultural burden that because you are the eldest in the family, because you are a child in the family, you have to respect your elders, right? You have to bear the responsibilities of being the oldest sibling. So how that shows up is that they sometimes there's a struggle between like I want to focus on my own needs, but I can't because my family needs trumps everything, right? I need
Hmm.
to be a good daughter because I cannot say no to my parents because I need to be a good daughter, right? I cannot help you with all these things with like auntie, uncles. I can't say no because that would be rude, that would be disrespectful, right? Even when family members make comments about us, even if we don't like it, we cannot say anything. Don't stir the pot, just maintain harmony, just keep quiet, it will be over. So these are some of the common things that
Mm,
we see. And like going back to the very first example, a part of me wants to go work out, part of me wants to just stay at home. It's like a part of me wants to set boundaries with my family members, but a part of me couldn't do it because of certain beliefs.
hmm
So with IFS, we get to know all these parts. What are they trying to do for you? What would it mean if you say no to your parents, right? And then we slowly uncover the fears and we work with that. We heal those vulnerabilities. So that's one of them. And then the other one, of course, is like with the immigration status, right? Like perhaps resources were not great in like previous generations. So
mm,
then one quality is like hoarding, for example, right? I have to keep everything I own, finding it very hard to get rid of things, even we don't if we don't need them anymore, we still keep them around. It's the idea, or like frugality, right? Like cannot waste, like I'm just counting down to the pennies. Like, I cannot waste money on all these things, even if it doesn't really impact us. Like I'm not gonna remember this tomorrow. It's not
mm,
gonna make a huge impact in my life, but still I choose not to spend that money because of the belief that, oh, we can't just throw money around. The scarcity mindset, right? That's another thing.
hmm
So these are some common ones that we share, like um in the Asian population.
Yeah, we think these examples you gave are really resonating with me because I'm thinking about some of my work with clients, and in particular that first example you gave about like the pressure in Asian families around being a good child
Mhm.
and like the expectation. I'm thinking about some first generation clients I've worked with who, is the eldest child. I think maybe not to stereotype because I do think it depends on the family, but a lot of times the eldest daughter in these families, yeah, that expectation to be a translator for my parents. Maybe you
Mm,
took on a lot of responsibility from a very young age of you were calling the phone company if there was an issue with the phone
mhm,
bill when you were like 9 years old. And I've never thought or kind of conceived of looking that actually as a part that the person is experiencing. And that, yeah, how that is in conflict with a lot of the clients that I've talked to around the frustration they may feel about not necessarily wanting to do these things or
mhm,
wanting to focus on themselves. And at the same time, I imagine, or I'm thinking of like immense guilt they feel, or this feeling of, but I just can't possibly do that or go against the expectations. And I like
mhm,
that idea of almost like separating that from the self and getting curious about what that part is trying to do. Does
mhm,
that feel like I'm getting that
mhm,
right?
mhm. Yeah,
Mm.
absolutely. It's like we're not trying to sometimes like I sense that maybe clients are afraid of bringing up certain things because they think that we are trying to get them not to do those things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, say a client's complaining about like oh having to help their family members with all these things. Maybe there's a part that's afraid that, oh, if I tell my therapist this, they're gonna tell me how to set boundaries, which sometimes like another common complaint is that someone come to me because of the shared cultural
Sure.
experience because people from a different culture would not understand. Like, why can't you just say no? Why can't you just set
Yeah,
boundaries
very
with your parents?
Western, like a very Western value and
Right,
perspective.
right. So, like, IFS is great because we're not trying to get rid of those parts. So you don't have to worry. I'm not gonna take that away from you. I'm not gonna tell you not to help your family. But then we learn to understand a bit more, having a deeper understanding and appreciation for this part. So why is this part so afraid of saying no? And
Mm,
then we get to the root of it, and then we can help it. So then we have a choice. I could still choose to help my family. Like just I'm not saying that once we get to heal those parts, we're just gonna stop doing things, start doing things differently. We can still do the same thing, but now we have an autonomy. Like I'm choosing to help with all these paperwork because I
mm,
want to, not because I feel like I'm obliged to. So that's a difference, right? Even like anger. I'm not trying to get rid of my anger. I can still choose to be angry because that helps me get to my goal, like
mm,
say like in a protest, right? That you need that kind of energy. I can still choose to be that way. not because um, I'm being reactive, but I'm
Mm.
actually choosing to uh, do a certain things a certain way. So that's the difference in IFS work is like we get to know it and then we have a choice in how we want to respond.
Yeah, I think that point you brought up, Hui Ting, it about clients not wanting to share certain things, maybe because they are afraid that we're going to impose, how do I I hope this doesn't come off too, I don't feel so negatively about this, but there's so many therapy concepts and speaks that are just like very available online that I do think people read about and they think, okay, is this how I'm supposed to be living my life? What if that doesn't align with my family structure or my cultural background? And in a way, I think it's very similar to the point that you made earlier on in this conversation about like parts not wanting to be eliminated and being
Mhm.
kind of reactive against that of, yeah, if I talk about this, are you going to try to erase this part of me? And it sounds like there's like protectiveness there.
Right, which is so different from other therapy models because before being IFS trained, I use a lot of CBT, which is like the energy is different. Like, oh, what you're thinking is not good, so you need to think a different way, right? So well, how you're thinking is not effective. So let's reframe your beliefs. So that's very it's a very different style and it works for people, but sometimes we recognize that there are limitations to certain things. So where am I going with this? So like IFS, it helps me, not just for my clients, it helps me notice my parts,
Mm,
my therapist part, right? Like when I propose a suggestion, is it coming from me or is it coming from a part, my therapist part,
mm,
right?
mm,
Like let's talk about boundary setting because you've been complaining about this, and I think learning how to set boundaries could really help you. That is a therapist part talking. That is me having an agenda which might not be what the client wants at that time.
mhm,
So IFS helps me reflect on what parts within myself is activated in a therapy session. Am I saying this because a part of me wants this, right? Like a part of me wants this client to change, and I think if I say this, this would really help the client. But then that's not me, that's a part of me that's speaking. So there's this part that's interfering, that's trying to take control. So sometimes it may not land for a client, may not resonate because I'm not showing up for that. So my parts are taking
mm,
over now. So just like we're talking about how clients can benefit from my IFS, I think therapists too, like myself, have benefited from this work because now I am more attuned to what parts are showing up. So then, like I can't tell you how many times I'm like, take a step back." Like my parts, like step back. Like it's not, that it's not our stuff. It's like clients. So let's come back, and so I can be more present
mm,
uh, with my client, and so. I mean, I know like Bridges, you have people who are looking for therapy. You also have a lot of therapists. And for someone who's like curious about IFS, I would like strongly encourage you to check it out because like just for my personal healing and I honestly believe that it helps me become a better therapist. In addition to being like a better child, a better partner, a better
mm.
mom, yeah.
Yeah, I was really resonating with that example you gave, Hui Ting, because I also find myself, and I do think that's actually a really helpful way probably for therapists to think about it. I find myself in that moment all the time, kind of that pause of questioning, oh, am I trying to fix my client in the way that I feel
Mhm.
like they may need to be fixed? Or, you know, trying to rush things along because I want to feel like I'm helping them and we're making progress and the money you're giving me is valuable. But the way in which maybe with that part, maybe that would be my therapist part or like my fix it part. I don't know what I would call it, but how we're actually maybe in that moment actually failing to meet the client and what they really need or what would actually be
Mhm.
beneficial or what they really want for themselves.
Mhm.
Which I think is really interesting. And I know, Wee Ting, that you are running a group, an IFS group for therapists. So
Mhm.
why don't you tell the viewers a little bit about this?
Yeah, so I'm running an IFS group for therapists. I'm also thinking about running one in the summer for like just like non-therapist basically. So you can check it out on I'm sure you have already posted
Hmm.
this on the Bridges. Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, you can look it up on the Bridges uh
It'll be on our Instagram page on an
yeah,
upcoming groups
Instagram
and events.
page.
Hmm.
Right. And then it's also on my page. You can also check out my website. And if you're interested in signing up for, and sometimes I understand like the timing might not work for everyone, feel free to just fill out my website contact form, just letting me know you're interested and what times work for you. And then we can plan something in the summer.
Amazing. And so I want to ask Hui Ting, we should wrap up soon because I want to be sensitive about your time. This was a really wonderful conversation. What
Yeah.
would be like one message or idea that you would want to leave listeners, people who are watching now, or maybe people who are watching this in the future, about exploring IFS for the first time? What would you maybe want to encourage them to keep in mind?
Be prepared to be mind blown.
Oh, prepare to have your mind
It's
blown.
yeah,
Awesome.
I'm not kidding. Like it sounds like I may be exaggerating, but I'm not. Like every time I do this work, I'm like fascinated. Like truly fascinated, with clients or with myself, mostly with myself. Like, where is this part coming from? It's like, and there is no way of, like, you don't know how many parts you have. It's like peeling an onion. It's like layers, layers, layers of like this and that. So I really love this work. If you cannot sense it, like I'm very enthusiastic about this work, just because of like the changes that I've observed personally, mostly like just for my own work. Huge difference and yeah, mind blowing stuff.
Amazing. And I'm curious, Wee Ting, did you do the IFS Institute training?
Hmm.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, so
Mhm.
some people have maybe like have been having trouble signing up. They just changed the whole enrollment process, so
Oh,
it should be
great.
easier to get into the trainings now. They have different levels, so I'm level two trained.
Awesome.
They have all kinds of offerings on the IFS Institute website.
Okay,
So for
okay,
those who are
amazing.
interested, they can check
That's
it
good to
out
hear
there.
because I've tried the lottery a couple times and I haven't been selected, but maybe it sounds like they've revamped the process. Maybe it's a little bit
Yeah,
easier to get in
they
now.
have. Yeah, it
Okay,
should
great.
be. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, Wee Ting. Well, so where can people find you if they want to learn more, they're interested in working with you?
Yeah, come to my website. So it's www.helixmhc.com. So all my information is out there. It's the best way to reach me just through my website.
Okay, awesome. Well, so thank you, Hui Ting, so much again for your time. This was a really amazing discussion. I really appreciate it. Thanks to everyone who's watching this now and people who may be watching this in the future. We're going to be hosting another one of these on May 22nd I think that's a Thursday. And it's going to be about creative arts therapy in the AAPI population. So we hope that you all can join us again in the future. And thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Sam. I can say I successfully completed my
You did
first
it.
Instagram
It
live.
was both of our first lives. We did it.
It's amazing. This was fun. Thank
All
you.
right. Take care, Wee Ting. Bye, everybody.
Bye.